Hi, welcome to JNA Conversations. I am Ollie Kinikini, Associate Publisher and Editor-in-Chief of JNA. Joining us today is Tim Schlick, CEO of Platinum Guild International, or PGI, which has recently launched a new brand positioning for Platinum. First of all, thank you very much for joining us. Uh, it's pretty exciting times for Platinum. You've recently unveiled a new brand proposition, and then there's also robust growth both upstream and downstream in key markets. So thank you so much for joining us to discuss these developments.
Thank you for having me.
So PGI is repositioning platinum as the metal of truth, highlighting its central role in marking life's special moments. What is the rationale behind this move, and what are your expectations of this new brand proposition? Does this shift to a more emotional narrative target specific market segments and demographics?
Well, thank you. That's a very good question. So, as you might or might not be aware, we have already had a positioning anchored in the metal attributes around pure, rare, and eternal. And what we felt, it was about time to just find a more emotionally expressive version of that and an articulation that resonates with consumers, better to highlight the importance of platinum being the only metal really for the most important occasions. And what we found as a consumer insight, what resonates with our consumer is a yearning for truth, for substance, for provenance, and for purity. And we feel that this new position of metal of truth highlights the qualities of a fine jewelry metal that is purer than most, purer than any carat white gold, for example, and that just resonates better with the consumer.
So, what are your expectations of this brand proposition? How do you see this moving the platinum story forward?
Well, we would hope that it helps to do a couple of things. Number one, it will help to position platinum sharper as the metal of choice for a white jewelry metal. Because as you know, that there's a discrepancy between gold and platinum prices at the moment, when we feel it's an opportunity to highlight the qualities of the metal. That's for one. What we're also seeing is, I think it's leveraging a consumer insight that we've seen in other places, for example, in India, where we have successfully launched a collection called Men of Platinum, which is essentially already anchored in the consumer insights that the consumer is, in this particular insight for case for platinum, Men of Platinum, it's yearning for stature, not status, celebrating the inner qualities and the inner truth, if you will. So our hope is to do it both, to position platinum more clearly, more astutely, and also helping our already very successful brands throughout all markets to be even more successful and create a global positioning, which frankly we never really had. We always had a very, very local approach, and this is the first time really where we have a dedicated global positioning approach.
Now, you mentioned high gold prices, and platinum is benefiting from white gold conversion right now. Do you see this driving global momentum for platinum jewelry for the foreseeable future? And what further conventions do you expect to see in the market?
That's a very good question, and I think yes, of course, we see that platinum is benefiting from the current high price delta for to gold. But we've seen interestingly that this is playing out in all markets in various shapes and forms. So what we've seen in China, you might be aware, we have a sharp increase in inventory building and selling from manufacturers and wholesalers. So we see a lot of momentum there. We also know from our partners that there's essentially a big shift away from any white gold, really going all into platinum. And in some instances also becoming a viable alternative to yellow gold because of the high gold prices that is starting to depress floor traffic. We see similar dynamic playing out in India, where the high gold prices is really making business difficult for our partners on the ground and stopping consumers from entering the store. And by having a fine jewelry alternative like platinum, it allows our retailers to still benefit from a great margin opportunity versus gold. In other markets, like the US, for example, we see this playing out very differently, really taking share from white gold. And you know that the US is a big 18K and 14 karat gold market. And we see that some of the partners are starting to convert into platinum, because what is interesting is really, if you look at it from a consumer angle, that despite the price difference, the metal hierarchy is still intact with consumers. So consumers still regard platinum as the #1 metal, followed by gold, then followed by silver. So I think this is playing out everywhere else. In Japan, just very briefly, we already have a dominating market share in white metals. And this is just accelerating. And what we're also seeing that in Europe, a market there where we haven't been really active in a long time, we're starting to re-engage. We're also seeing a lot of interest from the trade to convert white gold into platinum.
So right now, platinum is trading at approximately 1/3 the price of gold. So how is PGI converting this price advantage into sustainable gains in market share? So turning the substitution trends into an actual structural shift in demand for platinum jewelry.
Well, I think what's important for us is following the playbook that has served us very well in the past, which is not tactical but more strategic. So what we're trying to do is uncover consumer insights and unmet needs, for which we can then articulate a dedicated platinum proposition. So if you look at Men of Platinum, it's about stature, not status. That's a very clear positioning. When you look at Japan, where you have Platinum Woman, which is aimed at, it's a self-purchase product at lower prices for consumers, where we celebrate female empowerment. That's a powerful insight. So we will continue to do that. We will continue to work with the trade to uncover these insights and create occasions that didn't exist. And the other important element of this is, I feel, in innovation, where there has been a lot of progress made in the past 2 years. And I would even go as far, I think we've seen more progress in technology and innovation in platinum that we've seen in the past 20 years. So what I mean by that is we're going to help the trade overcome manufacturing or design challenges with platinum to break platinum on an even keel. So we have, for example, introduced last year Innovio, which is a specialty alloy, a digitally created alloy that is just helping to produce platinum more easily and bring it up to par with white gold. So all of these are instances where we're really working with the trade to benefit from this unique opportunity.
So the price of platinum is more affordable than gold at present, but it's also on the rise. Like it has gone from about $950 in the beginning of the year to around more than 1,400 in July. So how do you balance this messaging around value proposition as well as a luxury positioning for platinum jewelry?
Well, I think first and foremost, I think we need to be clear that we, as a trade organization, we can and we will not comment on the price. I think at the moment, what we're benefiting from a delta that obviously exists, but we are not in the business of predicting where the price might or might not go. What we feel is, regardless of how big that delta is, there's a great opportunity in just having, honestly, the purest white jewelry metal there is. And as far as consumers are concerned, the most precious metal there is, and the rarest metal, because you need to keep in mind that platinum is 30 times rarer than gold. And we believe that this is just an opportunity that will continue to be there, regardless of whether the price is a third, a half, or even less than that. And this is what we see is playing out in the next 6 to 12 months.
Now, as you mentioned, platinum is really stands apart because of its rarity. But when it comes to consumers, a lot of them still think that gold is a better store of wealth. So how is PGI helping its retail partners address these questions from consumers?
Well, to us, I think it's interesting. So if you look at, we've been doing we've been doing a big consumer segmentation study globally in 2016. That's since we then regularly updated. And what we found is to us, it is really important to understand consumer motivation for buying jewelry. And what we found, there's typically 6 big segments, 6 attitudes and needs. Some buy for status, some buy many buy for symbolism and meaning, some buy for connoisseurship, for really knowing that they got the best, and some buy for value. But our point of view is, and what we've seen in data time and time again, that the group who buy jewelry for retaining value is about 20%. It's not a very big group. So we feel that it wouldn't be wise to really focus only on that particular group of people. What we feel, we and the trade is better suited to really take the opportunity and to create these meaningful occasions, create these meaningful brands and collections that resonate with the consumer. So it doesn't become a value argument, because I feel that platinum is beyond just a store of value. I think it's a meaningful purchase that most people prefer to keep for the rest of their lives and not turning it in.
So, given platinum's current global momentum, what are your growth targets and what other growth opportunities do you intend to capitalize on?
Well, as you might have no trouble believing, is that we're currently very happy with where the market is going. So we see a lot of upside still in China, where we see most of the momentum at the moment. So this is where we're putting a lot of effort now. But also, if you look at one of our highest growth markets, India, who's continued to grow at 20%, at double digits, more than 20% at times. So this is another opportunity where we see a lot of growth is happening. Extended to that, we've started to venture into the Middle East together with our retail partners from India, where we see tremendous growth opportunity. Because where platinum tends to do very well is if it's introduced to markets with existing jewelry culture. So that's another big opportunity for us. And of course, the opportunity that I alluded to earlier, which is wide conversion, which essentially is 2 big markets, is in US and it's in Europe, where we're starting to work with the trade to really capitalize on converting jewelry from white gold into platinum.
So, beyond markets, what about demographics? Are you looking to tap younger consumers? How do younger consumers view platinum right now? And how do you want them to view platinum as they become the consumers of tomorrow?
Thank you for this question, because it's really interesting that for the longest time, platinum was the go-to metal for bridal and love gifting. So our bread and butter business has always been wedding bands and engagement rings. We've seen this widening by a huge extent to other occasions, and most importantly, I would say self-purchase. So as I mentioned earlier, we have a very successful program in Japan, Platinum Woman, where we're celebrating the self-purchase. And what I find interesting, that we see this playing out in pretty much all other markets too, where young consumers are starting to look at platinum as the viable alternative to gold, which is considered often as the older generation's metal, when platinum is the contemporary metal, but it's still a fine jewelry metal. It's still up there. And we feel that we're best suited for the future, because this is something that we can offer to young consumers, the best quality and the rarest and purest metal, but with a visibly different look.
And you also mentioned earlier that you would like to meet those unmet needs in the market. What are some of these needs?
Well, if you look at some of our programs around the world, there are specific unmet needs that we're trying to address. For example, in India, where we created Platinum Days of Love, where we're allowing couples to celebrate their moments of love or important milestones in their marriage. But also unmet needs that around self-purchase, for example, where we have Platinum Born in the US, where we try to celebrate the act of self-purchase as a victory for self-progression. So I think we're not short of occasions or insights or moments to buy platinum for. I can assure you that. There's around the world in every market, there's many, many more occasions that we can build with the trade.
Now, this is a question that has to be asked. Very good news in terms of growth, in terms of consumer demand. But what challenges do you see in the market right now? And how do you think the industry should tackle these?
Well, I think what we've seen in the past is just playing out at a greater scale, that it's really, really important for jewelry industry at large to remain relevant to young consumers. And that's why it's also part of moment of truth, metal of truth, is that we're battling for experiences. So do you spend money on a great vacation that gives you 50 Instagram posts in Bali, or do you buy a piece of jewelry? So I think that we need to create this relevance. And if we don't do this, this is a challenge because it's a very fast world. But I'm very positive that together with the trade, we can overcome these challenges, because what our partners throughout the world have proven time and time again, that they have all these new designs, that they have new ways of reaching consumers. So I'm not looking at the world in a particularly pessimistic way, rather the opposite. I'm looking at it optimistically, that despite all challenges, I think there's an opportunity for jewelry to be something that's just meaningful to consumers.